Parts of this episode of Garden Time were recorded before COVID-19 and social distancing requirements.
Ryan, why are you smiling?
Judy, I am just so impressed with this Garden Time dahlia.
And you know what else is impressive? A new episode of Garden Time. Welcome to Garden Time. This is the Garden Time Dahlia from Swan Island Dahlias. It was introduced just a few short years ago.
And if you like this dahlia and like your own, you can go to Swan Island Dahlias and order it for delivery next spring. Coming up on the show today, we'll learn about hardiness zones and how to understand them.
We'll also be telling you about the changes at the Mount Angel Oktoberfest.
But coming up first, how to know when your produce is ripe and ready to harvest.
Late summer is all about our vegetable harvest. I'm with Justin at Blooming Junction, and he has 4 tips for us on how to harvest or when to know how to harvest.
That's right. Tip number 1 is keeping track. A lot of us get so busy, we're out in our garden, we just put things in, we don't label, we don't keep track, and then you don't know exactly what you've planted and you don't know how long it will take to be ready. So knowing what variety you've planted, and knowing its days to harvest will help you to know when to be looking for ripeness or for the peak maturity in that plant. And you know, as for instance, if you're growing a green zebra tomato and you don't label it, you may be just looking from afar and thinking, oh, it's still a green unripe tomato, you know. So label and know what you're growing and know how many days to harvest. Tip number 2 is checking daily. A lot of things, you know, such as our zucchini, cucumbers and beans can grow so fast that, you know, if you miss one day, they can already start to get tough. So having a connection with your garden and being out on a daily basis will help to make sure that you're keeping an eye on everything and know when it's going to be at its peak. Third tip, I always encourage people to pick small. You know, to pick early and pick often. And a lot of that is because there's going to be better flavor, and sometimes as produce gets larger, it can be more fibrous or more seedy. So that's especially true with things like zucchini, eggplant. I like to pick more in sort of the 6-inch range. I think eggplant has gotten a really bad rap because people sometimes pick it huge, you know, and it just gets a little more fibrous. It can be a little more bitter. So picking at a smaller size, I encourage people to. And also, the picking often will encourage your plant to produce more fruit. It puts more energy back into the plant, and you'll end up with a more abundant harvest over time. And my 4th tip is to have realistic expectations. You know, the produce that we grow in our gardens is not going to look like the produce that grows in California. We aren't going to get huge, tightly packed broccoli heads and cauliflower heads. And so, you know, check for ripeness, and it may not look perfect, but don't let it pass waiting for it to look have that perfect California look. So let's go over some of these vegetables that I have and how to check them for ripeness. So on that broccoli, you know, your broccoli may only get so big, you know, like yay big, but when it's tight and formed, you may just get a small head. I think a lot of us wait too long, the flowers open up, and it passes. So pick broccoli as soon as it's got a nice tight head. Beans, we mentioned, they grow so fast. They should be filled out and snap easily, but you don't want them to be bulging. As soon as that happens, it's going to be tough and fibrous. You know, our onions and garlic, I wait until the tops have at least halfway died down to 2/3 died down. Then we know they're ready to pick and cure. And a lot of things, you know, radishes, beets, these root crops, radishes grow so fast, and they also get a little tough and fibrous when you let them get too big. So picking, you know, smaller than a golf ball for radishes, slightly between a golf ball and a baseball for beets, has some great flavor.
And what about corn and melons? Because those are really coming on.
That's right. Sweet corn is really coming on. So what you want to look for is this sort of dried silk. You want it brown, but not super dry. You know, if it just flakes off, it means that it may have passed a little bit. And you'll want to feel all the way to the end to know that it is filled out with kernels. And the other thing you can do here, you don't want to do this to all of them, obviously, but you can open it up and do the fingernail test. And if you see a little bit of milky fluid come out, you know that it's right at its peak and ready to be harvested. The other thing that is probably the most tricky to figure out is melons. And so varieties of musk melons will always slip right off the vine. You should never have to tug really hard. Those will always come off really easily. True cantaloupes, on the other hand, will not slip. And what you'll look for is where the stem attaches, there will be little tendrils. And you want that first tendril to be really brown and crisp. And I usually wait for that to turn brown. And about 4 or 5 days after I see that it's brown, I would go ahead and harvest true cantaloupes.
So that's all about melons, but people are interested in watermelons these days.
That's right, yeah, watermelon can be a really tricky one to know when it's ripe because you can't tell by smell or by feel like you can with some of our other fruits and vegetables. My tip for watermelons is, all watermelons will have a spot on the bottom, the ground spot, where it's sitting as it ripens. And what you look for is, if you see this spot is very white, it means that it's not quite ripe yet. You want to see that start to turn yellow. And if you notice that it's striping all the way across the bottom of the watermelon, it's definitely not ready yet. The other thing you want to look for is it will lose its sort of brilliant sheen and turns to a much more dull color in the skin as soon as it's ready. So those two signs, plus how I mentioned with true cantaloupe, how out of the stem side, that first tendril will turn brown, and I wait until about 4 or 5 days after I see that first tendril turn brown and crisp. And so that's the sign. There's always the thumping, but I really think that the yellow belly and the tendril is the best way to know when your watermelon is ready to be picked.
These are all great tips for us as gardeners, but also if we're shopping. So you really have something for us too.
We do, that's right. I mean, if you don't have a big garden, we always have a full bounty here in our store at Blooming Junction. But we're also offering a late season extension to our CSA. It stands for Community Supported Agriculture, and it's a weekly program that we have where folks can come out and pick up a box of vegetables of whatever we're harvesting that week. And it runs through from October to late December, and people can find more information on our website.
So please click over to that website or just come on out here and get all that information. Justin, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Garden Time is brought to you by Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
Do you want to be green? Do the easy stuff first. Hi, I'm Sarah from Portland Nursery. The U.S. House Energy and Commerce Committee says for every $1 spent on a shade tree, you can save $5 on cooling, blocking the penetrating heat in the summer and allowing the warm rays through in the winter. Dollar for dollar, there's no better energy and money saver than a good, deciduous shade tree. Portland Nursery's professionals can help you make the perfect selection. Portland Nursery, a passion for plants, a nursery for plant people.
A destination farm and garden market featuring the very best each season has to offer. Smith Berry Barn offers seasonal farm fresh fruits and vegetables and specialty herbs and perennials. Visit the historic barn for distinctive gifts, gourmet foods, and homemade milkshakes. Right now we have fresh picked or pick your own berries ready in our fields. Here's what we have to offer this week. Centrally located off of Shoals Ferry Road between Sherwood and Hillsborough, Smith Berry Barn, growing good taste from the ground up.
Fall in the Northwest is
the best time of year to plant, with warmer soils and cooler evenings.
a time to spend with family and friends.
Fall is a time to celebrate.
To decorate.
And to enjoy the colors that are only found here in our area.
Fall is a time to come to Garland Nursery.
And let us show you all that fall can be.
Garland Nursery, inspiring beautiful and bountiful gardens.
Well, we're down here at the Oregon Garden at the Art in the Garden, and I'm with Lauren Wingert, and you have some great glass pieces.
Thank you.
So what kind of glass pieces are we looking at here?
They're all hand-blown glass. I have a glass-blowing hot shop in my backyard.
Oh, great.
So this time of year, blowing is hot, sweaty fun, but
right, the temperatures are rising and you're dealing with
yeah,
hot melted
so
glass.
I do like to do the glass blowing more in the wintertime, but
right. And then you have some very different, unusual pieces that you don't necessarily find from a lot of other places.
You know, I had I saw some flowers on a stick, and that just inspired me to do more yard art type items. So I have pyramids on a stick, I have orbs on a stick, I have hearts, I have a triple sun catcher. I have some pieces that I have not seen other artists doing.
Right, because yeah, I mean, there are other people that blow art, but these are definitely different pieces.
Yeah, I have
that
some
people,
really unique kind of things.
Right, and places that people can put. I mean, we're in their garden is adding that accent. So what kind of
part of what I like is that the art is outdoors and it's not making clutter in people's houses, and it's color that's going to stay in the yard all year long.
Right, so these can be left out, throughout the winter.
They can stay out. Generally, when it's cold, they're not going to break or anything, but some people do like to bring their art in. And so my design, the glass flower, will actually come off the pole very easily, and you can bring that in and leave the pole in the ground.
Right. So, so people can come down, the art is out here, for the rest of the, through September. You can come visit your art, and you're constantly restocking. So, you have some amazing pieces, and it's, it's great to look at. So we're going to walk down and go visit Judy and see a couple other artists that are doing their artwork.
Thanks, Ryan. Well, I am with another artist, a metal artist, Lorraine. And Lorraine, you have really two different kinds of art pieces, kind of sea creatures and then also flowers.
That's correct, yes.
So really you're the outdoors girl, or you live at the beach?
Both. I have a place at the beach, and then I live on a farm. But I really liked all nature. I mean, I think everything copies nature.
That's true. That is true. It goes together hand in hand.
Yes, it does.
And I was looking at the detail of the sea star, and there's even rivets. The pieces are riveted together. It's amazing.
Yes. Everything is handmade, hand cut, hand put together. There's no soldering or anything. It's all done by, so it doesn't fall apart. So it can be outside. Even these, there's no soldering at all in any of my stuff.
And really, you want to have it outside. That's so cool. And so it is copper, so will any of this part of the Nautilus change?
Yes, the Nautilus have a little coating on the body part, but the tentacles are all just colored with heat, with the torch, and they will turn. They'll turn, if you want to take a look at the flowers, they'll turn the color of the flowers up there, green eventually.
That is cool. They'd be a beautiful two-tone. And speaking of the flowers, there's like not one the same. They're all different.
Every single one's different, because when you make something handmade, there's no way I can do the same thing.
Right.
I mean, each one is when someone takes them home, they have one of a kind.
Lorraine, they look like they're so intricate and so detailed. Can you just give us a little bit of that process?
I sure can. I start off with flat copper sheet, and this happens to be 34 gauge. It's very thin. And then I draw the shape on it, and then I cut it out by hand. And then I have a little machine that's called a corrugator, and I run it through to make the body. Now, once you do that, it becomes very hard.
Oh, wow.
And this is how thin it is when you start, because these are the same thicknesses. And then I can't bend it. It's just impossible. So I put it in the kiln at 1400 degrees until it anneals. Then I can take it out, I clean it, because it gets oxide on it, and then I can bend it with my hands. And this is all bent with the hands. This is all, again, bent with my tools. And then I put it together. There's no soldering. It's all hand done.
That is just amazing. And this art in the garden is going to be here through the end of September. So the artist won't be here, but the artwork will. You can enjoy this beautiful garden, enjoy the outdoors. So please go to gardentime.tv and we can click you over to the Oregon Garden site, and you can get all that information and come out and see this beautiful art pieces. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Judy.
You may have noticed some spots in your lawn, either yellow spots, dark green spots, or a combination of yellow and green. These are caused by pets urinating on the lawn. The discoloration is really caused by the salts in the urine. And the dark green that you see is the result of the urea in the urine, which is actually a form of fertilizer. So how do you get rid of these spots? One of the easiest ways is to just get the hose and flush that area where the dog has just done his business, and it will dilute the urine. And another tip is to encourage your dog to drink more water. The more your dog drinks, the more dilute the urine will be. There are supplements out there to help with the concentration in the urine, but please check with your vet before changing the diet of your dog. And the last tip that we have is to train your dog to do his business in one particular area, and then you can take care of that area of the lawn. So if you're seeing these spots, just follow one or more of these tips, and then both you and your pet will be able to enjoy the yard.
Since 1929, Grimm's Fuel has powered great gardens around our area. With our comprehensive composting and yard debris services, we can apply quality garden mulch, compost, and blended soils with our experienced crews and trucks, including our landscape rock and bark products as well. We're proud of our industry-leading state-of-the-art composting facilities. We also can take care of your fuel oil and firewood needs. Grimm's Fuel, building great gardens since 1929.
They're here! Grab yourself a Garden Time face mask and breathe easy. These masks are one size fit all with elastic straps that hold them securely in place. The nose piece can be shaped to your nose so there's less chance of foggy glasses. Plus they're embroidered with the Garden Time logo. They come in black, charcoal gray, and navy blue. Simply go to gardentime.tv and click on the store. Get your face mask and be safe in the garden.
Welcome to Blooming Junction, where it's easy to connect with nature. At Blooming Junction, you'll find beautiful, healthy plants, good, fresh food, and a place to regain peace and calm in your life. We have an unsurpassed collection of unique and distinctive plants and the expertise to help any gardener be successful. And we feature Blooming Advantage plants. Come check out Blooming Junction for an inspiring experience in the garden or in the kitchen. Blooming Junction, offering quality plants for beautiful gardens.
Many times in gardening, you hear somebody talking about a zone. And actually that zone refers to a temperature that a plant will survive. You may have heard that in the Willamette Valley, it is zone 7. So that temperature is between 0 degrees and 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So any plants listed in that zone will do well in that temperature range. So to help you understand about all these numbers, think about Alaska. Alaska is a zone 2, which is about minus 45 degrees. And if you think about the tropical end of it, it's going to be a bigger number like zone 10, and that would be San Diego. And remember, there's zones within zones. So the Willamette Valley might be a zone 7, but urban areas of Portland might be a zone 8 and much warmer. These zone temperatures are an average taken over 30 years. So a plant that is listed as a zone 7 may not survive if it's a very cold winter. So remember, a zone just refers to a temperature range that a plant will survive. And if you want to find out what zone you are in, please go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over to the USDA map.
Garden Time's Incredible Edibles!
Well, if you grow a cherry tomato, you know they're bountiful and you're going to get a lot of them.
So if you can't eat all of them, the easiest way to preserve them is to dehydrate them.
First, you'll want to take a cookie sheet, line it with parchment paper, then slice the tomato in half and put the cut side up.
Place the cookie sheets in an oven about 170 degrees for 10 to 12 hours. Every 4 hours or so, rotate the cookie sheets from top to bottom for even drying.
Some people like to drizzle them with olive oil or salt before they dehydrate them, but you don't necessarily have to do this.
After 12 hours, take them out of the oven and let them cool. They may still be a little soft and rubbery, but don't worry about that. Then take that whole sheet and put it in the freezer so that they freeze individually. Then once they're frozen, take them out and put them into a plastic freezer bag and label it with the date.
And once you have them frozen, you can pull them out for up to a year and use them in things like soups or stews or chop them up for a tapenade.
This is a great way to use those excess cherry tomatoes.
Garden Time is brought to you by Capital Subaru, your way on the Parkway.
Great. And how much cargo room does it have?
Tons. Basically, all of that stuff will fit right here.
Even this guy?
Definitely.
I love it. What's next?
Well, financing can be done online, and if you're ready to test drive, we can bring it to you.
Wow. No wonder everyone told me to go to Capital Subaru. Thanks, Shelby.
You ready to get back on the road again?
Definitely. 2020 isn't canceled. It just looks different. Shop online, by phone, or in person. Your way at Capital Subaru.
At Sagawa Nursery, we always talk about taking your garden from ordinary to extraordinary. For us, that means bringing you the newest and best plants and unique garden items to you, our customer. For you, that means we'll help you transform your garden into something that's extraordinary. We also have some great gift items and even a few surprises for inside your home too. Sagawa Nursery, growing beyond the ordinary.
Enjoy a summer of art and color. Visit the Oregon Garden for Art in the Garden now through the end of September. See outstanding and inspired art that represents both traditional and modern styles, carefully placed throughout the garden. See the combination of beautiful plants and great art as you stroll the gardens. Just pick up your map at the Visitors Center on your next visit. For details, go to OregonGarden.org. Art in the Garden is presented by Capital Subaru.
Every year, trees fall or break, causing property damage, power outages, and injury.
Now is the time for Bartlett Tree Experts and Collier Arbor Care to get your trees ready for the extreme conditions ahead.
Our free consultation will help to spot the signs of potentially hazardous trees.
We can help address problems before they occur. Whether it's trees or shrubs, we can help you get a healthy and beautiful garden.
Collier Arbor Care and Bartlett Tree Experts, providing environmentally safe tree care since 1907.
The Garden Time Show has lots of great stories full of information. And as you're watching, you'll see a lot of details pop up on the screen. For example, at the beginning of each story, we give the location of our interview in the upper left-hand corner of the screen. We also give you the name of the person we are interviewing. During the story, we will give you the name of the plants, when we can. Sometimes there isn't time to name all the plants. We also include tips on the screen to help you with important points we're focusing on. At the end of the story, you will find web links and sometimes a phone number where you can contact our guest or their nursery to get more information. Now, some people have been known to watch the show with a pen and paper to write down all the information they see, but we have a suggestion that makes it easier. Simply go to gardentime.tv and then click on the This Week link. Then you can read a description of the story, click on the link to the featured business or nursery, or click on the video thumbnail and watch the story again. Missed a story from a previous show? Simply go to our archives and type in the topic. Watching the Garden Time Show can be fun and informative, and can make you a better gardener. I'm down here in Mount Angel. It's Oktoberfest time. Obviously, I'm a little underdressed, but Bill, you're looking great.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about Oktoberfest in Mount Angel.
Well, Mount Angel Oktoberfest. Actually, Ryan, do you care if I take off my lederhosen?
Oh, no, let's do that.
Okay. So Mount Angel Oktoberfest, this would have been our 55th year. And we decided we could have taken a pass this year, right. And we decided that we weren't going to take a pass because Mount Angel Oktoberfest is all about supporting the local nonprofits and groups in the local area, and we decided that we wanted to continue to try to do something like that.
You know, Oktoberfest is not just about drinking beer and brats, which is, you know, fun as it is, but there's a lot more to Oktoberfest in this community.
Correct. I mean, we do enjoy that. Right. However, so a typical festival incorporates about 50 nonprofit food booths. All of our downtown food booths are all nonprofits. When they're here for the 4 days of the festival, all of those booths together gross about $750,000, and they take that money to go do their good works throughout the year.
Right. So that's getting distributed throughout all of these various profits throughout the community and throughout the valley.
Absolutely. Oktoberfest has also been able to donate $3.5 million in the 54 years that we have been around, in addition to their money that they do their good deeds with.
Which is great support for that community. So we'll head on over to Monica and let her tell us what Oktoberfest is going to look like this year.
Okay.
Well, I'm with Monica. Monica, it's still Oktoberfest, it's coming up, but it's going to be a little bit different this year. So tell us what's going to happen this year.
Well, I'll have to tell you, it's going to be a lot different this year. Usually this fest hall is full of people and we're
selling beer and having great fun, and the crowds are packed. But this year, this fest hall is going to act as a warehouse instead. And what we're hoping to do is have our normal festival goers pre-order what they'd like to have at their festival, and they're going to come by, they'll swing through the parking lot, pick up their to-go pack, then they'll go home and they'll plug into the live stream that we're going to have on the Saturday night, Saturday, September 19th.
Nice.
And then they can sit there in the comfort of their own home, enjoy their sausage, have their favorite beers, because they can select which ones they want, and then just relax and enjoy the evening.
Listening to music, and they can just keep that party going. They don't have to drive home, but they can still be part of the festival. You know, they can come down there, they can support it, they can support the great communities around here and the donations, be able to, you know, continue the tradition. So
right, it's going to be a huge piece of it, is to be able to support those nonprofits.
Right.
And yeah, we'd love to have them go. Anybody who would like to go to Oktoberfest.org. Remember, Oktoberfest is spelled with a K.
Right.
And then you can look through our catalog. Make sure you find the live stream, because that's where the entertainment's at. But then there is a selection of carefully curated German beers and some great local craft beers that a lot of these guys are self-distributed, so it's not beers you can find just anywhere. So there's a good reason to go there, and they'll all be sitting right out the back door here. So we'd love to be able to set you up with your own Oktoberfest party.
Right. Well, you know, keep the tradition going. So, you know, for more information on it, you can go to your website, or you can go to gardentime.tv and we'll click you over. So it's been a pleasure being down here, and we're looking forward to Oktoberfest.
Thank you so much. I'll put my dirndl back on.
Thank you for watching Garden Time today. And you know what's even more fantastic than the Garden Time dahlia? Cherry tomatoes.
And if you'd like information on how to preserve your cherry tomatoes or any other produce out of your garden, go to the OSU Food Preservation website. Judy and I thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on Garden Time.
They're here! Grab yourself a Garden Time face mask and breathe easy. These masks are one size fit all, with elastic straps that hold them securely in place. The nose piece can be shaped to your nose, so there's less chance of foggy glasses. Plus, they're embroidered with the Garden Time logo. They come in black, charcoal gray, and navy blue. Simply go to gardentime.tv and click on the store. Get your face mask and be safe in the garden. Parts of this episode of Garden Time were recorded before COVID-19 and social distancing requirements. The proceeding was a paid program of the Guston Creative Group and its sponsors.